Greetings, Patrick here, have Cheetah Will View, and welcome to the show. Uh, all right, it's a warm day here in Michigan. Yesterday did nothing but rain, and today is back to summer. Um, Had a great show last night with Paul Shadow, a producer and actor, and I want to thank everybody who came out and support that show. It's doing pretty well, so thank you for that. He was a great guest to talk to. I mean, fantastic guest. I really enjoyed talking to him quite a bit. A no nonsense kind of guy. He knows exactly where he's going and how he's getting there. And yeah, I really like that show. Um, a little distracted today. I think I don't really see. I don't. I have a feeling Paladin's not feeling too good, so I think I got to keep a sharp eye on that. Probably have to take him in tomorrow. A little concerned. You know how cats get when they start hiding in places. That means something's wrong with them. So he's been doing that all day. I've only seen him once. I had to go look for him. He was holed up. So, but he came out for treats and nip. So I mean that's good. But I'm just concerned. Hey Reed, how are you? How are you? And Anthony got himself a job. Congratulations, Anthony. Well, that's some good news. Um, yeah, all right. Reed, I don't know if you follow this or not, but let's see. Oh, now look who came over here. Hey man, what's up? Crazy baseball season. Yankees and Mets with the roller coaster. No roller coaster for the Yankees. They just got blown out by the Mets. Got blown out by the Reds. But this one blowing out on their own, taking care of the Phillies at home. So that was a little that was fun. That was fun watching the and going like, wow, we lost to the Reds. I get that, but man, losing to the Mets, that's just embarrassing as hell. So we have to redeem ourselves with a little payback. So we go ahead and we take on the Phillies and oh yeah, take care of little business. Thank you for the words about the cat. I'm concerned. I won't lie to you. He was out earlier, soaking up the sun. But you know, he normally comes up and hangs out with me during the day, and he wasn't. And then when I went to look for him, I really could not find him. I was like, this is crazy. And the very last spot I looked, I thought, well, there's only one other spot I can think of the entire house, and that's where he was. The last likely place I was expecting to be, and that's where he was. So I'm yeah, he's turning 15 this year. He's turning 15 in September, which is still relatively young for a cat. I mean, I see people all the time with their cats that are 20 years old, 21 years old, and still feisty, and he is. Um, though I have noticed that he's having trouble jumping up on things now, so I have to put steps down like to the bed, like so we can jump on the bed. So I have to put a stool there. I knew that when Derek got sick, I had to do the same thing. Hey Mike, how are you? Hopefully you're doing well, sir. Hopefully you're doing well. I've been keeping an eye on what's been going on in the UK, and it's very concerning. It's very concerning. I hope you stay safe. Um, we might be getting that over here soon too. Come November, we might be getting the same thing you're getting now. I hope not, but yeah, it's a real catch 22 problem. You know, it really is. It's a rock in a hard place. It's funny. That's actually worth a panel chat, to tell you the truth. A channel chat to talk about it. Yeah, I saw some of the footage today. It's absolutely crazy, and I'm very concerned for you guys over there. Um, I- your new prime minister just seems completely clueless. That's going to be Yeah, that's not a good thing. Of course, and you have to know, who's behind it. You have to know that Putin's behind all that. The Russians are behind all that. They want to destabilize NATO as much as they can, and they're behind this. That's all there is to it. That's they're doing the same thing to us over here. They're disrupting us, destabilizing us. They're using tactics that we have used on other countries. So yeah, it's crazy. But for today, though, we get to take a day off of the world's madness, and we get to talk to a young man named Doug who operates RetroFusion 3D. And I put the Etsy link to his shop on top there. You guys have to go take a look at that, and also I'll put down his Instagram link as well, because his work is extraordinary. And gosh, I highly recommend it. If you're a horror collectible, if you have items that you have in your horror collection, like figures, Funko Pops, cups, anything that you have collectibles on of any particular movie. If you're a big Friday the 13th fan, or a big Phantasm fan, or a big Romero fan, um, Doug can create a stand to go along with your collection. You can either put stuff on the little stand, um, or you can put it as a complement to it. It's really cool. It's really cool. Um, and I believe we'll be able to see him actually make an item tonight while we talk. Hopefully, as long as it's not really too loud. Um, I don't know how long it takes to do 3D printing, so he might be able to. I believe I think they compute it in, and then the computer drives it and makes it according to his specifications. But his work is absolutely beautiful. And I saw it and I'm going like, it's a little different than what we normally do here on Eight Questions. But I've been trying to do a little, diversity myself. And I really like talking to small business owners too. We've had Nightmare Toys on here several times. We have Mike's Monsters on here. We had a Senate Tea. We had Senate Tea House. Sorry, Shane. Well, we had him on. We had them on the show. We've had, we're trying to get some more small businesses in here, and I'm working on some others coming in, um, including a restaurant that's close to my house, not that far away from my house. And hopefully we'll be talking to them relatively soon. We're going to be talking to a candy store in Pennsylvania that just opened up, getting their feet on the ground. So we're going to be talking to small businesses in the near future, and I think it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm always enchanted by how the business works, and I've gotten sort of an education about this through Christy Adams from Nightmare Toys. Whenever we have our discussion, where we do our interview, and then off camera, we get to go off camera, and then we'll talk for a little while. And she'll give me some tips and pointers and some anecdotes that she can't necessarily share. And it's interesting. It's interesting. All right, so let me tell you what's coming up on the calendar, because we are have a busy month here. We have a busy month. Tomorrow night we have the return of Bunny Stewart will be with us tomorrow night. Bunny is an actress and a makeup artist and one of the sweetest people that we've talked to, and she will be back here with us at 8 o'clock tomorrow. On Saturday, we're doing a special matinee show at 3 p.m. We are welcoming in Jennifer B. Tux once again. Novelist Jennifer B. Tux will be with us on Saturday at 3 p.m. She's got a brand new book that she's released, and so we'll talk about that and the process in writing it. And that show will be at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 noon Pacific. On the 13th, we have a double header. That's right, we have a double header. We are going to the UK, and no, we're not protesting. Well, not in that way anyway. But anyway, we're going to be talking to Flickering Myth's own Tom Joleffe. He is also a screenwriter as well. So he wrote the movie Cinderella's Revenge that our good friend Mike liked quite a bit. And so he'll be back. He'll be here with us to talk about Cinderella's Revenge. And and some other films that he has worked on, including the Leprechauns game. And we're going to have some interesting questions for him because screenwriting wise is going to be a little bit different, and we're going to dig into a little bit with Tom. He's been on the show before. He's fascinating to talk to, and I'm glad to have him come back. Hey, Lady Valerie, how are you? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we are still grinding here. We are still grinding, having a good time, having a good time. Uh, um, late at the state fair. You better. Are you posting pictures? You got to post some pictures, please. Throw some pictures. How about a picture? How about a picture of Lady Valerie and her funnel cake? Yeah, we definitely want to. That's the best part about the state fair is the food. So hopefully we'll get some pictures from Lady Valerie and from the state fair out there in Wisconsin. That's awesome. I don't even know where our state fair is anymore. The Michigan used to have a state fair. It was on the other side of town on 8 Mile, but they got rid of that because it was just so wasn't a very nice area and a lot of incidents happened. I don't know where they moved it to. I thought they moved to Novi, but I'm not really sure. And it's much smaller than what it used to be. I mean, it used to be like a big, it used to be a massive place to go, but I think they cut the territory down to like a quarter of what it was once to help control the crowds. Everything deep fried and on a stick. Oh yes, that means Twinkies. Is that what you're saying, Lady Valerie? Twinkies for one and all. I loving it. I'm loving it. Now it is football season, so I expect you to be wearing a cheese head out there, floating the cheese head. That's right. That's right. Lady Valerie is a football fan, as you may or may not know. She roots for the Packers. Yeah, that's awesome. Deep fried. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Man, I, I think my heart would probably look at me and slap me if I did that. If I went over and looked at a Twinkie, it would probably say, you know what, I just can't do it anymore. You're on your own. Um, on the nightcap, we are interviewing another first for us here on the channel. We're interviewing a homesteader. Her name is Karma Lewis, and she will be here with us on the 13th. We're going to be talking about farming and raising animals, and they have a goal of getting a working farm. Her and her husband are working toward that goal as we speak. We'll talk about the land in Idaho. We'll talk about her life and what homesteading means today. There's a lot of homesteaders out here on the tube. There's a lot of them out there, and it's another one of those where I'm going to be trying to reach out and get a couple more of those because I love talking to people like that, people from the van community, and people from homesteading, from farming. I'm going to be trying to get some of those folks on here too. We had Tracy from for repurposing. She was a fascinating guest as well. Um, let's see. Let's see. Foot. Oh, that's the one with the puck, right? Go Pat, go. It's on now. I I know Hobbs already posted on. He posted on his page. He posted his football's back, but for some of those fans, it's football's 24/7. We're always talking football. We're always talking football. So Karma Lewis will be here with us on the 13th. Um, I hope you guys can come out for that. I don't know what to expect. It's the first time for me doing it, so I'm excited to see what it brings. And she's a very nice lady, and I really want to. I'm glad she's coming on to the show. I'm looking forward to talking to her. On the 14th, we have J.W. Colwell from the Indie Escape Network will be with us. I was just on there last night, second week in a row. And this one was unscheduled though, but we went on there and we talked some MCU. We talked some Robert Downey Jr. and Doctor Doom and Iron Man. He's very, very well versed in movie and and he definitely has an insight on certain things about the MCU. Um, and he also has I just found this out yesterday. He also was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He was on the game show, a national telecast, and he got to meet Meredith Vieira, who he said was a very nice lady. And so we'll talk to him about his experiences on the game show, and of course his shows on the Indie Escape Network. Really well run organization, and they're expanding. They're expanding. They're reaching out and doing more collaborations. Eric, remember we were talking about that tag team action? Yeah, I got an idea. Um, but I really enjoy the guys from Indie Escape Network. They've had a great group of hosts, including Terry Jarrell. Filmmaker Terry Jarrell has been on host on there, and the wonderful actress Jamie Hill from Skinner Moranek. She's also hosted on their podcast. So I guess some pretty heavy hitters on there, and we'll be talking to the mastermind behind it, J.W. Colwell, on the 14th at 8 p.m. And then on the 15th, we'll bring back two of our favorites, Brandon Rhines and the lovely Elizabeth Chamberlain will be back with us here on the 15th. They have Actually, they're going to have two new movies out. They'll have one new movie out, and the other one should be in post production, and that will be Grotesque 2 and I'm Haunted 3. They make franchises up there in Canada. I am absolutely in love with I'm the Haunted franchise. I love that franchise so much. It is so much fun. It's a tour de force. It's hard acting. It's good acting. You gotta be a good actor to handle that. We'll also be talking about Grotesque 2, where Elizabeth plays the crazy Mildred, and who happens to be a serial killer who sings. Gotta love that, right? More goodness from Higher University, Higher Universe, and I said the university, it's Higher Universe, and we'll be talking to them on the 15th. Okay, let's see. I never got into sports aside from professional wrestling. I don't know. Do we call that? I feel like calling professional wrestling a professional sport. It's sort of like calling a soap opera like an Oscar awarding movie. Oh, shots fired. But really, that's really what it is, though. But I like wrestling. I like wrestling. I keep up with it more than Eric realizes. I keep up with it somewhat. I know Taz is still doing play-by-play, and so that's a good thing right there, right? I mean, because Taz was my favorite play-by-play guy, and they get to curse on TNT. That's the other thing I found out. I didn't know that. I caught a episode, and they're able to curse on TNT. Of course, WWE is still family oriented, so you won't get that. But AEW, yeah, you can curse. I'm gonna break your neck, you son of a bitch. Well, is that kayfabe, or are you shooting on me? I don't know. Um, all right. So they'll be here on the 15th at 8 o'clock, Brendan and Elizabeth. And then on the 16th, we'll see the return of Corin Nemec will be coming back to the show. Very excited to have Corin back. If you missed the first show, I highly recommend you go ahead and watch that. We had such a great time talking the first time through, and we're gonna have another great time talking this time too, because Corin has a new movie out called uh, um, Place of Bones, and it's a Western film, and he co-stars with Heather Graham and Tom Hopper, and it's going to be very exciting. Uh, Seeing Heather Graham playing a homesteader fighting off trying to save her land, count me in. And Corin is in there as well, helping her out. Count me in twice. So we'll be talking with Corin on the 16th. On the 17th, we will be welcoming in Chris Horner, and this is another small business. This is another small business. He is a game developer. Chris develops game. He runs All Win Company, All Win LLC. I think that's how he calls it. and he is a game developer, and he's developing board games for people to play, and that is a hard thing to do. That is a hard thing to do. That takes dedication. So he is currently, I believe he has one game that's just about ready to be shipped, as far as or beta tested, I guess. And then he's working on some other ones as well. So we'll get to talk to Chris about how he got into becoming a game maker. Um, one other show I want to mention here before I don't want to skip over anybody, but I'm going to get this in right now. On the 23rd of August, you guys can all hit the notification bell down below. It'll remind you that when these shows go live. We will be welcoming back Joe Cornett, Alexander Nevsky, and Tanya Neva, uh, who we had on for Gunfight at Rio Bravo. Well, now they're back with Taken from Rio Bravo, and that is another Western that is coming out. So we have two Westerns coming out this month, and we're talking to both films' major stars back to back. I'm very excited about that. That's the first for us. Um, if anybody who saw our interview with Joe Solo or Joe and Alexander know, these two guys are dynamic. I got to watch Taken from Rio Bravo. It's amazing. It's so much fun. When I did my review of it, the only thing I said was what I really missed more than anything. It was the only thing missing from Taken from Rio Bravo. It was too short. You really want that movie to go on a little bit longer. And that was my only complaint. So that should tell you how good the movie is, right? All right, the doorbell has rang. So it is time for us to get Doug and talk about RetroFusion 3D and how he creates his magic. And here we go. Oh, oh, he dropped. Oh, he dropped. Are you there? Oh, hold on one second. He did not get. Give me one second. He is coming up. Yeah, hold on here. Uh, give us a minute here. Uh, so he's going to open up his link using Chrome. That happens sometimes. Sometimes we have to. Sometimes you can't open it through normal means, so you have to use the link. You have to open it through Chrome. So he'll be here 1 second. Let's see. If I can help him out there. See, I'm not sure if he's on his phone or his laptop. So I know whenever I don't use StreamYard for my own show, I have to use Chrome. Otherwise, I'm not allowed to go in there. It gives me all sorts of problems. So that's why I have to. I found that out when I first started when I first started going on the midnight hour. I was like, what, how come I can't get in? And then once I started using Chrome, then it was easy. And then once I got my own account, it was easier than that. But, but we'll get it done here. Sometimes they have to fire up their computer as well. So I'm going to give him some time to sort it out. That's pretty good. We've actually had a pretty good string where we didn't have that many problems. So that's good. That's good. That's actually been a while. All right, this is gonna work. Yeah, booyah. That's
How's
right.
that? Can you hear
We
me?
are we are locked and loaded.
All right. Can you hear me there?
We hear you.
All right, Patrick.
Good
Awesome.
meeting you, Doug. Yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I've been hyping up your pieces since we first started talking. I think you have a big winner here. I
Thank
think
you. I
you
appreciate it.
I think you have a big winner. This is some in fact I might even ask for a favor after we get off camera. I thought about this and was like, I don't know if this is proper or not, but I'm gonna ask him anyway.
Oh,
Um,
ask away. There's nothing that's improper, I say.
I would love to have one of those frames for a movie that
Yeah,
I have. You know,
we, we
one of the stands you have. It would have to be custom made. It's not a well-known movie. I could
fair
show it.
enough. Nope. Yeah,
Uh,
no, that's not a problem. I've got an artist that basically does a lot of the stuff for me, and I do custom orders. So that's not a problem. Just you let me know what it is, and then I'll work on it, and we'll get it done.
Wow, that would be wicked cool. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's appropriate to ask. I've never done that before, but I never have 475 interviews. I've never asked for nothing. But this one, I saw this and went like, I wonder if it'll be all right if he can make me something.
We could,
Yeah. So congratulations on the business. It is
thank you.
starting to boom. It's starting to boom now, isn't it?
Little by little, taking small strides. I mean, it hasn't been very long. I've only really been doing it for maybe, maybe a month or so. But yeah, I mean, orders are definitely coming in through the Etsy store, which is where I am right now. Kind of like a means to an end. I'm hopefully I'll get something set up separately, um, so I don't have to go through Etsy. But we'll see. But yeah, no, it's been good. It's been a couple orders each day come in, and I try to get them out right away. So this way, make customers happy. I know when I've ordered something, I hate waiting. So if I can get it done as quickly as possible, I definitely do what I can.
So it means you never order from Severin then, because anybody's order from Severin knows they're like they're a boutique film company, and you order on Black Friday, and you
Mhm.
might get lucky and get your shipment in by 4th of July. But I understand. And that's from stories from people who've gone that. That's not me just talking shit. That happens to a lot of people. They'll sit there and go like, it's funny as hell to see them come in the spring and they're opening up. Okay, I got my Black Friday order from Severin, and you're looking over there and going like, it's April already. What's going on with that? Uh, of course, the post office is playing their part in that as well.
Of
As
course.
well as yeah, of course,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So
No, I usually as soon as I drop ship them, I usually check the progress on them, and as soon as I see that it's landed, I usually reach out to the customer just to make sure one, they got it, two, they're happy, and then I usually offer them like a discount code if they decide they want to order another piece. So I try to keep my eyes on it and make sure that the items are getting where they're supposed to be, because you know this day and age, you got to make sure that your product is there and it's there on time.
Yeah, but customers at the same time, customers at the same time, they have to realize that sometimes, there's some companies that are really good. They're on it. And the company that I can tell you right now, it's like that. It's called Hamilton Books. Those guys are on fire. I don't know how they do it, what they do. You could order on a Monday and you're getting your stuff maybe on a Wednesday, no later than a
Wow.
Thursday. And I'm going to myself going like, how do you do that so fast? Because I've placed orders for things and it's taken me, 7, 10, 2 weeks to get items, and yet somehow they're able to get their stuff shipped faster and to the customer. So I don't know. The post office, it's been a little iffy. But it looks like something you're keeping your pulse on. You got your finger on the
Yeah.
pulse, so you're gonna be you're gonna be in good shape.
Hopefully.
Before we get into RetroFusion itself, uh,
Sure.
we got to jump back in the Wayback Machine and see where Doug came from. I still don't know your last name. I don't know if this is that a professional. Is that something you want
No,
professional to be known as
that's
Doug?
it's Doug's fine. I mean, that's what I go by everywhere. I mean, I don't know. My last name is Borofsky. I mean, good luck with that one. But yeah, but Doug is fine.
Yes, a lot of small business owners and a lot of artists or what have you, singers or what have, they just go by one name.
Yeah.
It's not unheard of. So I didn't really press it. I'm going like Doug from RetroFusion. That's how I know you from. So
No,
that's what we'll go with. Uh,
it's fine. It's easy. So sure.
so talk to us a little bit about your upbringing a little bit. Were you always artistic when as a youngster? Did
Um,
you draw and paint and all that good stuff?
I mean, we'll call it chicken scratch if you want to, but I mean, I think every kid had fun in art class and stuff like that. I don't think I ever really made any attempt to do anything with it. I mean, still today, I mean, I do a little photography on the side. I do, I'm always dabbling. Like I've got a million hobbies, and I just play around with different things that kind of catch and that I enjoy. So photography, 3D printing. I build websites. Anything of that nature is kind of things that I gravitate to, and I play around with. And if I can somehow monetize it, that's for me, that's a little bit of extra. Something that you enjoy getting into, and then being able to make money off of it is a fantastic way to kind of get a business going.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. I like I said, I see retro fusion taking off big. It's a
yeah, we'll see.
really it's unique. It's really unique.
Yeah,
Um,
right now it's really just for fun, and just enjoy doing it. Like I said, it's really just about creating something and getting out to movie fans, gaming fans, and uh, you know, I we'll see what happens. I would say, if it gets big, great. If not, I'm not worried about it. I do have a day job, so just having fun at the moment.
uh, were you obviously you must have been a big horror fan growing up, right? I mean, were you enchanted by horror movies or science fiction? Um, you know,
I
the,
have my Yeah, no, I definitely have my favorites. I won't say that I am a true like horror fan, like some of the folks out there. I mean, I grew up in the '80s. I mean, I was born in '76 and grew up through the '80s, so I grew up on a lot of like the Aliens and Gremlins and whatnot and stuff like that. So that's more of my horror upbringing. Jason, Freddy, and that kind of stuff. Today's horror I do watch. I definitely love the found footage stuff, and I do watch it. But I wouldn't consider myself a connoisseur. I'm an avid watcher who just enjoys being scared every once in a while, and I have my favorites, and I have my favorites that I've recently started buying again on VHS because I feel like some of the older stuff like Jaws should be watched that way. You can kind of see in the back corner I've got an old tube TV just for that and a VCR. So I'm definitely down the the highway. So, and I think that kind of incorporates with horror a little bit. So,
sure, sure.
yeah,
People say, "What is Jaws? Is it a horror or is it or a creature feature?" I'm going like, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a creature feature while it's out in the ocean. I think it becomes a horror is when you're in the ocean with it. That's how I look at it.
yeah,
Uh,
I would definitely agree. I definitely agree there.
geez, sharks. You ever gone shark fishing?
Never gone shark fishing. I've just been fishing. So no, but I do have that dream one day, maybe going out to um, Australia or South Africa, maybe do some what do you call it? Get up
Oh
close
yeah.
and personal with some great whites in a cage or something along those lines. But I don't
Yeah,
know if I'll ever get the nerve to do it, but you never know.
that's actually one of my fantasies too, is to go inside a shark cage. That would be
Yeah,
that would be wicked cool. I would do that. I would definitely do that. That would be a lot of fun.
I think so.
Um,
I
yeah,
definitely think so.
as long as they don't drop me 47 meters, I'm all right. That's right. Uh, so now you said you were just doing chicken scratch or what have you. I mean, you must have had. So I take it that when you were growing up, you had just had a multitude of hobbies and interests. What were some of those? What were some of those that you had, and how did they apply to your developing your artistic talent?
Whew. I don't know. Like I said, I mean, art class was always fun. Always enjoyed doing that. Always like creating things, right? I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. So most of my time was spent, playing out on the streets and doing stuff like that. Never really got into the artistic thing until, I mean, honestly, I mean, God, I mean, probably started with computers back when I was 16. My
Okay.
stepfather kind of helped me out with building a PC, and I kind of ran from there as far as learning how to build them, tune them, turn around, started selling them. But then I started playing around with graphic design. So I would say, somewhere around there is where it really I got the bug for it. Just anything that was that I could do on the computer, I just wanted to do. So I don't think it was ever artistic as far as you know painting with pencils or paper or anything like that. I don't have that. That's my mom. My mom's an artist, and she's absolutely phenomenal. Um, and so I probably got the bug from there. But mine was more in the digital craft than more the physical craft, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, and when did graphic design start to become a thing? The computers, as we know it, the Apple II and what have you. And when did graphic design start become important, or was it always important? Because I remember when the graphics on the computer back then were pretty, compared to today, were pretty, pretty mundane. But back there, they were cutting edge, but there still was nothing like yesterday like there is today.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember the early '90s. I mean, when first seeing games start coming out on the PC. I mean, that's all graphic design, right? So I think once we moved from like your old IBM monochrome screens into your more like IBM 386s and PCs, and they started developing these games like Doom and whatnot, and that's all graphic design work. Somebody has to sit there and do all that coding. And then eventually the internet blew up, right? So then graphic design started happening with websites and you got MySpace and everything else and downloading, digital graphics and whatnot. So, it was pretty early on. I mean, computer boom just happened and it just kind of just escalated and went through the roof. So, I mean, I don't know the exact pinpoint of when it started, but I can't remember a
Yeah,
time without it, you know?
yeah. I would say for me anyway, when I got into computers, it was probably in the mid '80s, mid '80s, and even then, it was like it was I had an Apple IIc, and it was like it
Sure.
was cool, but it was like you know, but to move forward, next thing you know, you're starting to see computers do a lot more. Um, of course, I get. What do you think that gaming systems? Do you think that had? Do you think it drove the PC, or do you think the PC drove gaming systems? Because I remember playing Atari way before I played with my first Apple.
Um, Yeah, I would probably say, I mean, for me personally, I mean, I was playing, Atari, Nintendo, and I still have all of them, Super Nintendo, Genesis, all that stuff. Probably before I was like, I remember Nintendo before I remember my first computer. So for me, I would say, that kind of stuff started with Nintendo, but then escalated into PC gaming and going from there and building on that. And now it's kind of reversed, right? Because now everybody's back on their PS5s, they're on their Xbox Ones, because those machines can now, are so graphically advanced that it's so much easier to sit there on a controller and connect it to your TV than have to deal with your PC. I dabble in both. I love it. You know, there's certain games I think that are better on the PC, and then I think there's games that are great on the console as well. So I kind of go back and forth. And like I said, I collect a lot of old consoles too. So I have stuff going back to to the early '80s, which is my favorite thing to do. Is just like kind of pull the Nintendo down, plug it in, and kind of do a run at Mario Brothers if I can. So, which is I think is a lot of fun. But
I
yeah.
think probably the only thing about today, and let me know your opinion about this, but it does seem like after like a 10-year hiatus, college football's back. But I've learned that now, where before you would actually go out there and buy the disc for the game, go home, put it in, and start playing within 10
Mhm.
minutes. Now it's not like that. Now you have to download it.
Correct. Yeah, they're kind of trying to phase out the physical media, which I think is bad for us collectors because we like having a bookshelf full of discs that we can pull out. I mean, it's great for those that are collecting and buying out the old ones because the prices have skyrocketed in the last couple of years because everything old is back again. So,
Right.
albums are back. I mean, album sales beat out CD sales not too long ago. I mean, it's crazy to think that things that, from so far back are now popular. So now, like, I have a hard time finding some of my old favorite games where I used to pay maybe, $2 or $3 at, whatever store, or, go to Goodwill or what say you. Now, all these stores are buying them up and they're reselling them for like $20, $30. I mean, even Goodwill has gotten into the game. Like they said, hey, we got all this old physical media, these old games from PS2, Nintendo, and stuff like that. They started selling them online. You can't even find them in the stores. They basically take whatever somebody drops off and donates. They take them and they turn around and they sell them on online for higher prices because they know there's value there. So
Goodwill.
so that's what I
I have to,
say.
I'll be honest with you. I'm just gonna say this, but Goodwill sucks.
Yeah, it
It
does. Well,
it does because of because they operate, they're like mercenaries. It's like people donate the stuff. They donate because they know that people can't afford a lot of, like we want
hmm
people to be able to come in that don't have the money for this. We want them to be able to, we want it to be affordable.
sure,
Instead, you're taking what's, what someone has donated, given to you for free, turn around and sit there, oh, we'll charge $30 for this or $35 for
sure.
this. That's not the
Yep.
reason why people donated for you. They donated
Right,
for
but
so you can sell for like $12 or $15. So people who can't afford it, they can afford it, you
sure.
know?
Yeah, I agree 100%. But the other side to that is Goodwill has made it so easy to drop your stuff off and they just take it that it's become like, hey, I'm just going to bring this stuff to Goodwill. I'm not going to name them, but there's at least two donation companies that I know of that I've tried to donate stuff to, who have actual requirements on the stuff that you're donating. So now you're basically turning that into a job for me that I don't want to do. I basically just want to hand you my stuff and you go ahead and do whatever you need with it. But you're making it difficult for me to do that. So where am I going to go? I'm going to go to Goodwill because I don't want to throw it in the trash because then I feel like it's a waste of money. So I'd rather it go to Goodwill if the other donation people who are legitimately giving it away for free, but they want to put rules on it. You need to
Yeah.
sort it. You need to do this. You need to do that. We're not going to carry more than 70 pounds. I mean, there's so many different rules. It really gets tedious. And I'm like, listen, this is not my job. I just want to give you free stuff. You should just take it.
Mm. Right.
So
Yeah.
Goodwill doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Goodwill doesn't care.
Um, but people, yeah, but people keep, you're right. I mean, it should be an easy place for people to, I
Yeah.
know on my local Salvation Army, what they don't do, you're right. They don't make us go through our stuff. That's the thing about it is though, but
Mhm.
they go through the stuff, and then what they do, sometimes they'll pull stuff out of there. Like I know that my store anyway, they don't sell horror movies.
Mhm.
They go through and they pull out the horror movies. Like when you go in there, if you see a horror movie on a shelf in my Salvation Army, that's a mistake. That's a
Wow.
mistake. That wasn't supposed to happen. It's so rare that they ever find any horror movies at Salvation Army. They don't. They just. I think they call it and they either ship it to somewhere else or something like that because it's never there. And I've been going to my store for years, and I think I have pulled maybe 15 horror movies in like 7 years. So there are restrictions of. I'm not even sure what it is for video games. I know that some may not. They might not take some for the violent content, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
I think
interesting.
every organization has their own rules, and that's fair. But when it comes down to a bag of clothing and you're telling me I need to sort it into, men's clothing, women's clothing, children's clothing, instead of just giving you one bag of clothing, you do the sorting and give it out. That's what, you're designed to do. You want to get these clothes to those who need it. I want to give them to you. But then you're like, hey, you've got these two bags. I need you to sort them into different categories. I'm like, no, I'm just going to give it to I'm just going to give it to Goodwill. It's not that I don't want to help. It's like, I don't have the time to do that. This is what you
Right.
guys are set up to do. So that's where I think I get a little frustrated, because honestly,
I agree.
I'd rather give it to, someplace where they're going to give it out for free, but just don't make it difficult, So
I totally
that's
agree.
my take on it.
No, you and I are rolling the same boat.
Yeah,
Uh, so graphic design.
sure.
When did you start learning how to do it? I mean, we see it on the computer, but how did you get into it? Did you learn how to write code? Did you work for a company? Did you go to school for it?
No, everything's pretty much self-taught. Never did really much on coding. I mean, I did some WordPress back in the day when I used to build websites. So I did a lot of WordPress in that sense. So that was, I think, as far as I went as far as coding and in the graphic design world. Nowadays, things are a lot easier than they used to be as far as design interface. They're not as complex. And I think about 5 or 10 times more user friendly, and I think they do a fantastic job as far as getting your message across and being able to control what people see on your websites. So it's made my life a lot easier. It's allowed me to turn websites around a lot quicker, and also have more customers and get them done within a reasonable time frame. But yeah, I mean, graphic design is kind of is everywhere. I've just always, like I said, I've always gravitated to it. I think the first time I ever touched anything graphic design wise, was there was an old Disney piece of software that I had that allowed you to draw cartoons on your computer, if I remember correctly. And
Oh,
it was a mouse, and it was a mouse and a keyboard, and basically it was just trying to teach you how to do like cell animation, and then you would try to make it come to life on your PC. I think I got frustrated within 45 minutes and never touched it again. But but I knew it was something I wanted to eventually do. So but it was a lot of fun. But I think that's probably like the furthest back I can go in a memory as far as something graphic design wise when I was a kid. So
what was it like building websites back in the day? I mean, are websites
tedious.
are they still relevant today, Doug? In your
Yes,
opinion?
yes, I think they're 100% relevant. I think they've changed though, as far as the type of content that you need to have on your site. For example, I have a guy who reached out to me and said, "Hey," he said, he's got his LinkedIn profile, he has, his social media and stuff like that, and he has his business cards, right? But when you hand somebody your business card, 9 out of 10, they usually lose it, or they toss it in the trash. But if somebody can Google your name and look it up and find your, like just one page on a website with all your information, everything that you've done, who you are, it's basically an electronic business card. And you can do that in the form of a QR code. Like if somebody walks up to you, say, hey, let me see all your media stuff. They can scan a QR code, which will give you links to all their social media and a website. Websites can contain your resume, they can contain your background information. It kind of legitimizes you in a way, right? A lot of people ask still today, oh, do you have a website? And some people, they think if you don't have a website, then you're not really legitimate, you know? So I think it legitimizes people in some way, or at least the business in some way, because some people are just like, hey, let me see your site. And if you don't have one, what's your answer? So I think it's required still. I don't see them going away anytime soon. I mean, as soon as I started this, I created one. It's only one page, doesn't have to be fancy, but at least it links back to my Etsy page, gives a little brief information about who I am, and when somebody looks up 3D stands within my area, that comes up. I don't have to worry about, Instagram or Facebook or something picking up those algorithms, because I've done the hard work of making sure all the SEO is in there. So this way, at least my site comes up when somebody looks for, 3D printed stands or anything 3D printed within my area. And then they can get to where they need to be from there. So yeah, still 100%. I think we still need them.
Yeah, because I mean, it seems like with social media being prevalent, how it's prevalent now, you wonder if that's is not redundant. A website plus social media, um, and because you don't get you get a few. Like I get a few people with dedicated websites, personal websites,
Right.
but not as much as I used to. Not I don't see it as much as I used to. And I was wondering if people are subbing social media sites for websites, and I don't necessarily think that's a good thing either. I don't think that's wise.
I
Um,
agree. I 100% agree with you there. I don't think that's wise. I mean, social media is great for communicating, talking with your friends, advertising your business and stuff like that. But I think when you want a true landing page to highlight your business, I don't want to be confined to what Facebook gives me or what Instagram gives me. I want to design it the way I want it to look, and then I will embed everything to go to them. You'll be able to find it in multiple ways, but there's got to be some control as far as the content that you're putting in there, because one, Instagram doesn't allow you to post everything. Facebook doesn't allow you to post everything. They're always, looking over your shoulder to see what you're doing. With a website, you don't have any of that. Not that I'm saying there's bad content, but do we really want, them telling us what our business has to look like or what we can post on our business sites? We're here to start a business and make money. So, that's why I think, websites are very important.
Yeah, I do
I,
too. I can definitely see it. Especially for a business. I still see it being 100% vital. I was just wondering if more like the personal website is still relevant in today's world. I definitely think of if you got a business, then yeah, I definitely
right.
feel. But what's different from today's like you said you dabbled in a lot of different things. Did you build websites for all your projects that you did, like in photography or
Sure.
building a website? um, uh, so you built your own already, right? So
Hmm.
what did you put on yours to have people's grab people's attention? Like with you, you're a great advertiser because retro is very catchy. I mean, it's right off the bat, the logo you have and the items you got on your Instagram page. I mean, it grabs you right away. There's no wow, just scroll, 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 scroll. No, it's like
Right.
when I saw it, I was hooked right away. I'm going like, that is damn cool.
Thank you. I
Um,
appreciate that.
so,
Um,
how did your experience in your how did your experience help you market retro fusion?
I'm still learning. I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't know, marketing's tough. I haven't figured out, Instagram's and Facebook's algorithms and all that other stuff. I mean, look, I'm only at 300 and I'm almost 400 followers or something like that. By this point, I know people who are in the thousands. Um, and I talk to everybody. I try to get ideas, and everybody's telling me, "Oh, you got to do videos, you got to do this, you got to do that." Right? Yeah. And then you got to spend money, right? So I
Yeah,
get hit up I get hit every day.
oh God, I get hit up every day too. I always tell them. It's funny. They'll come over and they'll sit there and say, I can help you with your website, with your channel." And I look at their page and they got like 500 people, and I'm going like, how did I have more followers than you? And yet you're gonna go over and tell me how you're gonna, yeah.
You're gonna help me. Yeah,
It,
my favorite is whenever I post something, there's like a Connecticut, like I don't know, like local group or something like that, and he's like, they right away they're like, share with me or can I repost it? I'm like, sure, go ahead, go repost it, and then they hit you with a DM like, yeah, it'll cost you this and this and this and so forth. I'm
right,
like, no, no,
right.
you asked me if you wanted to, if you could repost it. I said yes. I was like, that's where the transaction ends. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to give you money.
No, that they do the same thing for animals. I'll get someone saying, "Oh, you have a really cute cat. Can we repost it?" And I'll send them a letter going, "Yeah, it'll cost you $250." That's what I
Right,
tell them. I tell them, yeah, it'll cost you money. And
right, yeah.
so yeah. So if you want to reshare my animal, by all means. And for some reason, I don't ever hear back from those people. I don't know
No,
why.
no, no. I
I,
don't think they want to. I don't think they want to pay to
I
share
haven't.
the cat. Yeah.
And then you got the other ones who do go buy those the followers, and you always know it too because they go from like 10,000 people to like 30,000 and
Right,
overnight. And you're like, how did that happen? Like what happened? Did you hit the follow lottery or something? No, they bought followers,
right,
and it looks impressive. It looks impressive, but if you really know the site and you start looking at it and you realize that the same people are posting, it's the same amount of people, it's the same amount of traffic. You're not
right,
getting any more traffic as you would from you expect the traffic to go from 10,000 to 30,000, but when you're still you have 30,000, but you're still having the traffic at 10,000. Well, then you just bought like an empty calorie. You bought a candy bar.
Yeah,
Anybody?
exactly. No, 100%. I agree. I agree, and that's probably why I haven't thrown any money at it. I just feel like it's a waste. I find my method is, right now, just like I follow people who are interesting in the same category that I'm kind of, working in. Like, so there's lots of great horror folks out there, that I'll follow, and it's stuff that I actually like to, read and get into. I mean, I started following a bunch of horror folks and seeing them post like old VHS stuff, and I'm like, wow, I'm like, this is like reliving my childhood every single day because there's so much stuff that I had, and I'm like, this is really cool. I had no idea it was there. So for me, it's been a lot of fun kind of going down that rabbit hole and seeing all the things that are out there. Same thing, I
Well,
used to collect comics when I was a kid, so I'm going down that rabbit hole too because I've got scans for comic books. Um, so
man,
it's
I'm just thinking about this right now. This is blowing my mind because I'm just thinking of myself looking. I'm thinking about this what you create, and I'm going like, man, how cool would it be to freaking have Jack of Hearts? I mean, that would just be like that would blow my mind having a stand with Jack of Hearts on there.
Jack of Hearts on it. Well,
Yeah.
we'll have to look into it
Oh,
after the podcast. You have
that,
to
that
send me over some graphics, and we can take a look at it, and we can go from there.
now how are now because are the graphics now? I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about this, but I'll ask and you tell me. So
Yep.
how are you able to do this? Like with when filmmakers make fan films, right? They're tribute
hmm
films, like they're fan films for favorite properties. How do you work with the studios? Are they did they know what you're doing and they're saying whatever?
I mean, I'm gonna say it's probably a gray area. I purchased the digital file that I use from someone else who's an artist that I work with, and then I do all the work afterwards on the PC before I print it. So he says he's got the rights to them. I go by the fact that he says he does when he sends them to me, and I kind of go from there. I mean, you know,
Sure,
I'm hoping
sure.
that's the case, because I am paying somebody to kind of facilitate that for me. Um, but like I said, it's kind of a gray area.
You know what, I personally feel like, you know what, it brings awareness to their product. I mean, I mean, think about it. If you tune it on somebody else, I mean, you've seen, like you said, I mean, you've seen people, in their horror collections, their movies or what have you. There's a lot of people with movie dens and collectible
Right.
dens. I mean, and then it's to me, God, that's fucking free advertising. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's
Sure.
advertising. It's like
Yeah.
if someone wants to put a stand up there that says Friday the 13th, I'm sitting there going, as Paramount, I'm going like, so what? The guy, he's advertising our stuff. That's awesome. He advertised, like you get a stand for Friday the 13th. You put a collectible on there. You put a Funko Pop on there. You put a
Sure.
prop on there. I mean, anything
Yep.
that you can think of that could go on one of your stands, it just complements it and infuses it
Sure.
with, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's a cool idea.
Yeah. I mean, there's other folks that do it. I don't know what their method is, and I don't know if they've reached out to somebody to kind of, or whether or not they're just creating them themselves. I kind of, like I said, I just I reached out to a guy who I found who was an artist for these, and I pay him in order for the right to use them. So hopefully the licensing happens on that end, which I imagine is the case. I should probably look into that a little bit further. But I mean, it's definitely a good question. But I feel like at least I'm covering my basis, as far as what
Sure.
I'm doing. So, but there's plenty of other people who are online who don't worry about it or do it, or just do it themselves. So, but
Um, so now, let's talk about 3D printing, because I only time
sure.
I've ever seen 3D printing, I've seen it for a guy who people actually make parts.
hmm
They okay. I'm just telling you what I saw. I know it's going to sound really funny, but so there's these guys that they restore Hot Wheel and Matchbox cars,
Okay.
and they can't find the pieces, so they get a
hmm
3D printer and they build the pieces. How does that work for you? What is 3D? How does it work?
So I'll tell you where it started. I mean, a friend of mine, I've always kind of, I always knew I wanted a 3D printer. Um, I just love the whole concept of, it kind of reminded me of Star Trek and having a replicator in your house. It's like you have this device that could literally build something for you in the matter of a couple of hours and then just hand it to you. And you don't have to go to a store and you don't have to buy it, literally out of plastic. I found that whole concept amazing. When 3D printing first came out, it was, I want to say very complex because they would send you a box of almost like Legos and you have to put it together. You then had to make sure everything was set up right, everything was calibrated correctly, everything was level. I mean, it was insane, and I just didn't have the time to kind of go and deal with all that stuff. So a friend of mine picked up a 3D printer. He was like, dude, he was like, this thing is so easy. He was like, it's really, pull it out of the box, do a couple of configurations, and you're ready to go. So I was intrigued, ordered one, started playing with it, and it just kind of snowballed from there. I don't know if you can see behind me, but so this entire board was 3D printed. So it's basically a pegboard that I was able to 3D print and then configure the different holders and stuff like that to my needs. So which I thought was amazing. That was kind of like one of the first things I figured, hey, I could use this thing to organize my life a little bit. Because stuff always ends up on my desk. It's never organized. It's always all over the place. Pens are thrown all over. And I was like, let's see what we can do here. So I just started printing out these boards, and then started building out like little holders for different things, rulers, pens, tools and whatnot. And it's been fantastic. So I basically got it all off my desk and able to put it up on the wall and get it out of the way. And now that's my, my 3D printer workstation, where I keep all my stuff.
Now, what does it run? What does a 3D printer generally run? Is there a lot of companies making them now?
There's quite a few. You can find one on Amazon for like $200-300 if you want to go low end. You can go, further up in the higher levels, and you can spend between $800 to $1,000 depending on what you're looking for.
And
So I think it all.
Is it all just plastic? I mean, how do you do it? You just put like a lump of plastic inside inside the machine and compute it?
No, so everything basically comes in. Let's see if I have a spool around here someplace. So basically you got spools of filament that are basically like this, right? So then we put it on the top of my 3D printer has basically 4 feeders that will then feed that spool directly into the 3D printer through the extruder, and then which will then basically print out whatever I'm looking at in different layers. So it basically builds upwards in layers. So if you build whatever it may be, it's basically just going to continue to do one layer at a time as it builds that piece. Depending on what the item is, sometimes if there's overhangs and stuff like that, you might need to make sure you have supports. So this way it doesn't fall over, because it needs to make sure that whatever you're printing on has a surface. So it's not going to basically, if you have the letter T, it's not going to be able to go out and print the letter, the top of the T, because there's no support underneath. So it's going to basically put supports underneath. So there's a whole process with layering and setting up and configuring your prints before you send them to the machine to actually do the process.
Now, did you learn this through trial by error, or did you pick up the skill as you were building your websites and graphic design work?
No, a 3D printer was a whole different beast. Never played with it before. So I just basically, I got, picked up a printer and just started, doing what I do best, which is tinkering with it and figuring out and deciding what I like best about it. Printed out a whole bunch of useless stuff. Printed out a lot of stuff that was, that wasn't useless. I mean, there's so many things you kind of send to the printer. You're like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And then it sits on a shelf like everything else.
Right.
So I wanted to kind of not do that, because I have enough collections and things that sit on shelves as is, and try to use it in a more, economical way, but also, use it for functional items. So, like the organizing, the pegboard and whatnot, and, then, doing the 3D stands and so on. So there's lots of different things that I printed. And just playing around. I mean, there's lots of like I said, I collect retro gaming systems, so I 3D print a lot of their own stands, so this way the games can actually be displayed on my bookshelf. So I'll print those out. Yeah, which is oddly enough is kind of partially how I got into this too. When I knew I wanted a 3D printer, because I remember I was like, hey, it'd be really cool if I could display all my games and stuff like that. It would look great. And so I went on Etsy and I basically put all the stuff in the cart and wanted to see, how much it would cost me, to order everything that I needed to organize
Oh,
my shelf.
that's,
And
that's smart as hell. So you
uh,
shopped it,
oh,
you
yeah.
didn't,
Oh
but you
yeah,
shopped it. Then you were able to see how much you were going to have to cost, and then
and
you
then
could, yeah, you didn't have to buy it.
I said, you know what, it'd be cheaper to buy a 3D printer and do it myself.
Wow, wow.
So that's how I
Um,
got there. Yeah, and then of course the coaxing from my friend who bought one, who just convinced me and pushed me over the edge and said, after he was telling me all the things he printed, he actually sent me a little piece in the mail, and I was like, this is cool. I was like, I have to have this. So that's how I ended up, and I ended up there.
so what was the first thing that you? What was the first serious piece that you made that you realized this is something you wanted? Like, was it a retro? Was it a piece of a gaming system where you got really serious with it? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think I started printing a lot of small things first just to see how it would do. And because I was nervous about doing a larger print, because the larger the print, the longer it takes. We can go to 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. I mean, there's prints that can go for 24 hours depending on what they are. It's not a fast process. I can tell you that. So, I wanted to make sure I was comfortable with the machine and what I was printing, make sure I could handle it. Um, as I was kind of like gradually learning. So I started off with, very small things, keychains, um, you know, uh, little tchotchkes, like little what are they? They're called benchies, which is basically a benchmarking tool, but it's basically a boat. So I was doing those in like different colors. I think everybody prints benchies when they first get a 3D printer. And then eventually I just started finding other things that were a little bit more intriguing. And then I started going into printing out my own gaming stands. Um, and I started putting all my games away. I was like, this is really cool. I started giving them away to a couple of friends who were also collectors. Um, and then eventually I just kind of fell into the whole gaming stand thing. Not the gaming stand, the movie stands and gaming stands, because gaming stands too. Just I was scrolling through the net and found this guy who was doing all this design work, and he was basically selling it license for the files. So I hooked up with him and we started chatting, and we've just kind of been working together ever since.
now, who
So.
comes up with what? Did you come up with all the ideas of what to print, like the Friday the 13th or the thing, or did you come up with that
No,
yourself?
some of the stuff he already had, some of the stuff he doesn't have. So we collaborate. Like, we'll talk about it. I'll be like, hey, can you do this and can you do that? Um, so there's definitely things he never thought about. I think I have one up there. It's uh, well, I haven't printed it yet, but there was one I had for Child's Play, which is a great stand. It's got the little knives and the blood on the name and everything like that. It looks absolutely fantastic printed. And I said, hey, it'd be really cool if we put a silhouette of Chucky in the back of that. And he was like, that's a great idea. So he went back and he kind of reconfigured it and redid it for me, and then sent me the raw file, and then I went in and did all the colors and the changes,
That,
and then just sent it
that's
to
where
the
that
printer.
came.
Yeah.
So that's you then. I saw that. Oh, I saw that in Mike's Monsters.
Yep. That was
That's
actually
you.
actually it was your podcast that actually, because he's like maybe 15 minutes, not even like 10 minutes from where I am. And when he said he was picking his stuff up on Etsy, and I was like, man, I was like, I was like, I got to go talk to this guy. I was like, and I had been in there before to purchase like one or two things, and just to check out the shop because he had just opened. And but that was like that moment where I was like, let me go have a conversation with him. I was like, because I think I can help him out, and we can work together. So yeah, so the two pieces he just posted, those I actually just dropped off today.
Well,
So
congratulations, man.
thank you. Yeah, it's great guy. Mike's Monsters, definitely go check him out. I think he sells his stuff
Great guy.
online, so I would definitely order from him. Yeah, yeah. And if you're in Connecticut, stop in. It's a fantastic shop. He's you can tell the love of horror is definitely in every inch of that place. So it's a
Yeah.
very very cool spot.
Well, it's cool that you got your piece in there. That's
Yeah,
neat.
I mean,
I would never thought that's it's what you sort of hope something like that happens on one hand, like you hope sometimes whenever you do an interview that someone in the chat will come on there and connect or what have you, and you always hope for that connection. You always hope someone sit there and say
yeah,
sometimes it happens. I've never had it happen quite like this. So like, oh, because of you, I did that. It's like, damn, really? All right, well, that's okay. We're doing the right thing here. I'm
yeah,
happy.
no,
I think that's
absolutely. Yeah,
exciting.
absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um,
It got me to walk in there and have a conversation with him. So,
well,
and
what's more important is actually whether or not you bought something, because that's what Mike was talking about. He was talking about, I love that you guys come in here, but I love it even more if you bought stuff.
right.
And
Yeah, no,
I'm so with him on that. I'm so
yeah, no,
with him.
I actually picked up a Gremlins figure from him today. So I was in there and I saw it and I was like, oh, I gotta have that. So I was like, so I grabbed that. I think the last time I was in there, I picked up if I want to remember correctly, it was some reason I'm in like a Gremlins mood for some strange reason. So I think I picked up a Gremlin Funko the last time I was in there. So, and I'll definitely purchase more things from him down the line. I mean, honestly, it also helps me because he's got such great stuff, and I need it for pictures, that it kind of works hand in hand. So plus, it's always great to just go in there and walk around and see all that stuff. So it's like it's like a horror museum.
Plus a homegrown company too.
Yes.
How cool is
Yeah.
that? In your own home, in your own town, right there. You guys working together, and mutual support. And that's the way it should be. That's really neat. And
Yeah.
if he does a who knows, maybe he does a convention down the line, or you do a convention down the line. Maybe you guys team up and work together on it. I mean, this
Hey,
can't be too many homegrown companies doing horror in your town.
no, I mean, honestly, I think he's the first store that I can honestly say that I've ever seen open up to just that genre like that. I thought it was a really interesting concept. It was the first time I've ever seen it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been in plenty of comic book stores and
Right.
different type of collector stores, but nothing that's ever just been geared to just horror. And I thought that was an amazing concept because there's so many different movies and so many different sub movies and genres that you can go down that it's just absolutely crazy. And people love to talk about it. So you actually walk in the store, you can sit there and talk to Mike for 20, 30 minutes about whatever, and odds are he's probably got a piece of the movie that you're talking about that you can take home with you. So yeah,
Almost everything, because he's
true.
listening to this. Because we're still waiting. We're still on the hunt for Black Phillip.
Black Phillip. Okay, gotcha.
We're still looking for the Funko Pop of Black Phillip. I have two different stores looking for Black Phillip. So
Nice.
oh yeah, we have a lot of fun with that. Um, we do. We have a lot of fun with that. Have you have now that you got is this your first company that you worked with? I mean, your first store that you put your
Yes.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's gotta that. What's it like, Doug, when you did that? I mean, is it something you got home and you going like, like it's like anything else, right? It's like it's an accomplishment, right? You get that and you go like,
Yeah.
damn, that was so cool.
Absolutely.
I want to do it again.
I just like the fact that someone appreciates something that I've created and that they were excited about it and they want to have it and use it. I think that's a fun, fantastic feeling in itself. Like I said, I mean, for me, this is a side thing. So hopefully it takes off for him, and everybody goes in there and gets them directly from him if they're interested. I think that that's also great because he's able to capitalize on it too. So
Now,
um,
how I was going to ask you, how heavy are the pieces? I mean, you're showing the spool of plastic. So
yep,
how heavy is it? I mean, to build a piece like that.
they're not very heavy. They're actually very light. It maybe I don't know the exact math. Every piece is different. But I mean, when I send out a package, we're talking about maybe less than a pound. So depending
Really?
on how many pieces, yeah, they're not very heavy. No, and when you print them, you're not doing a complete fill. You want to make sure that you want to use as least amount of material as possible. So there is basically like a crosshatch fill to them as it's going through each layer, which makes it lighter, and you use less material if you can. Um,
They're extremely
so
strong.
there are certain materials are the stuff that I use is strong in the sense where if you drop it, it's not going to break. It shouldn't chip by any means. But if you put good hammer to it or something like that, it'll definitely crack
No,
and break.
I was just thinking
Yeah.
if you wanted to put a prop on it, like Chucky, if you had like a little Chucky knife or a little Chucky Funko Pop or something like that, and you wanted to
No,
put it
that
on
would.
top on,
Yeah,
on
no, that would be fine. Yeah, no, 100%. That wouldn't be any issue whatsoever. They're definitely built, to to place stuff on, on top of it, depending on. I mean, the stands aren't very wide, so you really wouldn't want to put anything. They're more for putting in front of. So like, I have them in front of my Blu-ray collection or in front of, some type of figure or something along those lines. I don't think they'd be really, unless I designed them to be a lot wider. Like I could obviously make them a lot wider if somebody said, hey, I want to put like my Funko Pops on top of them. I'd be like, all right, well then I have to go back to the drawing board, kind of, put like a base on the top of it, so this way you can stand your figures on top. But it would hold the weight. I would just have to design them a little bit differently. So
Now, how do you pick which one to do? Like how do like there's so many horror movies out there. So, what was the first horror movie that you did that you made? Was it Chucky, or was it
oh
Friday
wow,
the
God, I think
13th?
it was no, it was actually I think it was Creep Show, and then it was Friday the 13th. I think I started with Creep Show first. I think that was the first one I did, and then I went to Friday the 13th. I printed that one second, um, and just put them up on my bookshelf, and just kept on looking at them. It's like, hey, what can I do with these? What can I do with these? So, and then from there, I mean, as far as picking them, it's really just whatever kind of draws into the mind that looks fairly cool. Whatever there's no real rhyme or reason to it. Somebody reached out to me and said, hey, can you do the fog? I was like, sure. So we did the fog. So sometimes it's just by somebody asking, that they're interested in the piece.
Uh, it says Betty saying a ton of horror movies out there for sure. So many oldies but goodies. Yeah, endless choices. I
Yeah.
mean, you could do Creep Show
Yep.
3 if you wanted to.
Sure. Absolutely. Yep.
Did you know there
Sequel
was a
one.
Creep Show 3? Did you know there was actually a
I
Creep
know
Show?
there's the second one, and then there was the short-lived show as well. So
Yeah, I didn't even know
I
there was a
remember
third
those.
one. They actually made a third one. I had no idea. So, I was like, I didn't know that until last month. There was a Creep Show 3. I'm
Yeah.
like, there
Yeah.
was. And, it's like I
But
guess I'm out.
I think eventually they get to the point where it's like, should we have made this? It's like, it
Oh
was
yeah,
just really, yeah, most people just don't respond to it. They don't even, they're like, I like the first and the second one. I kind of forgot about the third one. I think that happened
yeah.
with,
Just what's been the most difficult piece that you've had to make so far in terms of design and execution, or is there a difficult piece because of the machine can handle anything?
um, I think any one of them that has more than one color layer to it, it becomes a little bit more difficult. And it's a lot more time consuming. So we go from like maybe something that takes 2 hours to 5 hours, because the machine has to basically go back and forth and switch the colors. So I think I would say that's when it gets really difficult. So it's not so much the piece, it's just how it's made. Once we started getting into 4 colors, forget it. I mean, some of them will take me 6 hours just to print off. So
Now,
yeah.
if this takes off like we suspect it will that mean that you will have to get a better machine or more machines? Have you come to that? Have you talked about like, okay, hey, all of a sudden I got like, today I looked in the mail and I got 20 orders. Uh-oh,
Right.
have you thought about that yet? Like, when that
I
happens, like, what are you gonna do?
I definitely have. Right now, I have 3 machines. I'm perfectly happy with 3 machines. You can see them behind. You can see them behind me. I don't have enough room for a fourth one, so which is also fine. I think I'm perfectly happy with what I've been doing right now. If it comes to it, I'll have to rearrange a lot of things to get another one in here. But you know, is there a possibility for a fourth one? Sure. Am I going to run out and go get one tomorrow? No.
No.
I don't think we're gonna take off by any means. That quickly. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the future holds. Who knows? But
I'm already going to contact you with one other person after the
please,
show. Yeah, I'm
please,
going to
yeah,
contact you with my friend John Henderson. I'm
cool,
sure he would absolutely love to see your stuff. He would
yeah, no,
be.
definitely,
Now, I guess the other thing I would sit there and say, I think also too, where you're going to see where your product will take off at too. It's the first. Well, not only being at Mike's store, that's going to help. Um, but the first time you do a convention, have you done a convention yet, or
No, I haven't. And I mean, to be honest, I mean, I'm not sure if it's something I want to do. I mean, I might down the line. Like I said, I mean, I've got a full-time day job, and it's a lot of hours during the day. What's nice about this hobby and this, doing this is, I send off a couple of pieces to print. It's 4 or 5 hours. Doesn't affect my regular job, where I know I can concentrate on that because, while that's printing, the hard work was, setting it up and everything like that and getting all that done. Once I have that finished, I can set it to print and I don't have to worry about it. So to add on another layer of having to pack up all this stuff on a weekend and head to a convention, I think that might be a little too much stress for me to handle. So I think I'm going to leave that to the experts and see if they just want to buy the stands and take them with them and let them sell them and mark them up for whatever price they want. So I
It's
think
a
that
good
might
idea
be,
too. I mean, you could. I
yeah,
mean, you walk the convention and count out that business card you were talking about earlier. Be
yeah,
the the QR. What do they call it? A
the
QR.
QR code. Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
But I definitely feel like if you put that out there for sale, I definitely feel collectors will find that and buy it.
yeah,
It's a unique piece of it's a unique collectible, and a lot of people will see that and they don't have it and they'll want it right away.
sure.
That's the honest to God truth. That's how they are. You talk to anybody who works at convention, and you come up with a unique piece like that. It's not if it's going to sell. It's how many will
How
sell.
many? Right, exactly. So, a question to you then. I mean, it sounds like you go to a lot of conventions. Have you seen a lot of 3D artwork at conventions, at horror conventions and stuff like that?
I
Or
have never heard anybody mention it. So to
right,
me, the way I look at it is, it's a wide open table. I
wide
mean,
open table?
there's not going to be all this. If you go ahead and go to a convention, and like to me, what I would try to do if I was in your shoes is I would actually connect with Mike and do a table together and
Yeah,
work it together. Yeah, and I would do that. He sells his stuff, you sell your stuff. There's certain pieces that you can get from from his store, but I would go
yep,
share a table with him, get it out there, because I do think that people will buy it and they'll and talk about it and like we're doing now. We're
right,
talking about it now. It's going to go out there. It's going to hit. It's going to be in the search engine. Like really, RetroFusion. I want to check that out
sure.
and
Yeah, no, that would be awesome.
it
I
would
mean,
be.
I think maybe down the line, sure. I think for now, I mean, honestly, I mean, as far as locally, I want people to get them from from Mike, let him, let him sell them, let him, put them at the convention, let him make the money. I mean, I think that's the best place for them to be right now. I'm not worried so much about, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm never going to do it. I'm not going to go to a convention, but if he's happy selling them at a convention and does really well with them, I'm happy to supply them and not, not to have to worry
Absolutely.
about him feeling like, here I come in with all these stands and I'm outdoing him. No, let Mike sell them let
No,
he can get them for me and sell them. So
no, I would never say out and do them
no,
per
no,
se.
no.
It's just to get your word out, get the word out there, let
Yeah,
people see it, see the man who created it. That's
yeah.
always good. It's always good for
Well,
business.
and that would see, I like that idea because maybe he'd let me just hang out with them and just be like, people have questions and stuff like that. I think that would be fun. So I like that.
That would be a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
that would be a
Uh,
lot of fun. Just hang out if anybody has questions. So
maybe you could like maybe probably wouldn't want to do that. I was gonna say you could bring out a sample machine out there to see what this is the tools for the trade because
right,
people get fascinated by that. They always want to like myself. So why I'm here asking you a question because I want to see
sure.
what's behind the door.
Right. No,
You know
100%. I mean, they do make smaller ones that you can travel with. The big ones that I have, I would never move. But they do have smaller ones that you can actually, and oddly enough, I mean, a lot of part of 3D printing is you can print your own modifications for your printer, which I think is insane to think about. But you're literally buying a printer to print modifications for the printer that you just bought. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. But you can print out a handle for one of them so you can carry it because it's actually small enough and you can bring it someplace and you then calibrate it and then you can sit there and show people, how it works. It's
um,
much smaller scale. You can't do big items on it, but I mean, it would still be fun for people to see.
Now you mentioned earlier about the time it makes to make a piece,
Hmm.
anywhere between 2 to 5 hours, and so you have three machines. So basically, and realistically, you could probably make um, the more intricate you can make almost 6 a day. If you set it up to run while you went to work and came home, and then you set up again to run while you do your day, that would
Right.
be, 6 per day, 30 per week. Um, that's not bad. Are you building up an inventory with that in mind? So you don't have to
No.
worry about that a lot. You don't have to worry about, like, okay, you already have inventory and you can just ship it out whenever someone wants it.
No, right now I prefer to just print them as the order comes in. One, because I don't know what's going to sell one day to the next. Um, so to sit there on all those pieces is just like, and then I just stare at them and be like, boy, did I just waste all that material for something that just I thought was going to move and didn't move. So I actually have it in my Etsy store that says print to order, which is what I try to do. So if it comes in, I'll print it. The nice bit is if I do, let's say I need 3 pieces, I can print 3 pieces at once. Time takes a little longer, but I don't have to do them one at a time. I can print up to 3 or 4, depending on the size, on just one print.
Oh,
It just
you can
it
do a
just
lot
takes
more.
yeah, it just takes longer. I don't have to do one piece at a time. I can do 4 at a time. It just takes longer to complete the process.
Now,
So which isn't too
for
bad.
someone who's listening to us on the replay and they want to know how much one of these pieces would cost to add to
Sure.
their collection, what is the price point for your pieces? Do you have a Is it the longer it runs, the more difficult it is? Do you price toward how long it takes for it to build?
Yeah, so I mean that all kind of goes into the calculation. I mean, basically it's material, time, wear and tear on the machine. All those things have to be factored in. So basically, what I do is I just run it through a spreadsheet, which will then calculate it out for me, what the cost is, what the materials, the time, my time, everything, and that basically gives me at least a ballpark area to start. With most of the stands, I mean, for the small size, I mean they're only 8 inches long, by maybe like 2 inches tall, so they're not very big. On Etsy, you can purchase them for $12.99 plus shipping. So they're
Oh,
not terribly expensive by any means. Yeah.
oh
So,
my
and
goodness!
that's
And you could order. Them being so small, you could order quite a few of them and
sure.
add to the collection. Yeah, very.
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah.
That would be a very cool piece to add to like a shelf. You
Hmm.
can put it on top. You can put it on the shelves themselves in front of
Exactly.
the movies.
Yep.
It's a really nice, unique conversation starter. You
Oh
go
yeah.
inside the
Yeah.
house, a movie room, caveman room, man cave, and then you come in there and, like, got the especially horror, and you see these little pieces there. The thing, or
Yep.
Friday the 13th, or well, I guess X would probably be the tiniest thing you would build. Uh,
Yeah.
but
No,
but
my favorite. Yeah. No. 100%.
um
Yeah.
uh, uh, Go ahead.
No, I was gonna. My favorite thing is like when you see some of these collections, people have their figures and displayed in like these beautiful glass cases. Can you imagine they have these dioramas set up of like let's say all the Thing characters, and then you have the movie stand right there that says the Thing in front of it. That's a 3D
Right.
printed stand. I mean, that's to me
That's
that's just
unique.
perfect. It just adds
Yeah.
that final piece. To showing off your collection, all your hard work of what you did, just getting those pieces together.
You
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 know,
know you
so.
know you're setting yourself up here, Doug. You know this, right? You know this. This is you know and we're gonna see some pieces that you've made before we get out of here. You have some
Sure.
available to show. So I want people
Yep.
to see what Doug is making here. So and don't overrun him as far as that, or on the other hand, do overrun him.
Yeah. Right. Keep me busy. Keep me busy for the next couple of days, right?
That's right.
So
So,
yeah.
what are some of your favorite pieces that you can show us?
Well, like I said, I've been kind of going down like the Gremlins. What do you call it? Rabbit hole. So this is the one that I just printed out, which will go next to the figure that I actually just got from Mike's Monsters. So those two will go together.
Yeah, that is brilliant. That is really brilliant. And
So
that's
yeah,
only
like I said,
about
I mean they're not
ten.
that not that thick. I mean it's hard to see on the what do you call it, but I mean
And
but
it's about 8 ounces then, right? Half a pound.
maybe a little less, maybe 6, maybe 7 ounces. I mean it's so it's not that heavy, real easy, but it just sits perfectly on a bookshelf and make them they're They're just wide enough to sit perfectly on that bookshelf without falling over.
Do you think they're about? I mean, maybe it's probably two things. Are they wide enough to like a DVD, like maybe you know?
Well, they would definitely be wider than a DVD, but I mean they would sit next to them perfectly. Um, I think I have a couple of pictures on my Etsy store where they're sitting on top of a VHS tape for scale.
Speaking of a massive horror collector, EA Horror just walked through the door right here, and I know that she would be someone that I know that would actually, show something here because I'm sure she'll
So,
come talk to you because she has a lot of cool horror collectibles herself.
so this is one
Uh,
of my favorite ones.
Child's Play. Yeah,
Yeah, but you can see it's got the blood splatter on the knife. So, nice little stand to sit in front of like your Chucky doll collection and whatnot, just to kind of highlight it, which is one of my favorite ones.
EA, this is Doug from RetroFusion3D, and he makes 3D mini stands from different various horror films. So let's say that you're a big fan of Child's Play, like our good friend Christy Adams is. You could get a small. How tall? How wide are they? Are they like 6 inches?
Usually, they're between. I post them on the site as between 7 to 8, and I usually have like a ruler next to them on the Etsy store so you can see the length of them. I think that one's probably about 8 inches long.
So 8 inches long,
Yep.
6 to 8 ounces, 6 to 8 ounces
The
of
weight.
good
Yeah. Not.
quality plastic,
Yep.
and the color is beautiful too. I mean, look at the color of Child's Play there. What
Yep.
a unique,
So it's
it's a unique.
multi-layered. So it's black, white with red, which seems to be the theme for most of these horror movie stands. I mean, everybody's using the same three colors: red, white, and black.
Now, obviously, you want to know another question too is what's been the most popular item of that you've sold yet? What's the one when people have been asking for the most of? Has it been Freddie or Jason or Michael or?
Oddly enough, it's not even a horror movie. Well, but did you ever see the movie The Warriors?
Yes.
That is probably the number one that people have picked up lately.
Oh my.
That Yeah, that's the number one stand that every time I turn around, somebody will put in a request and be like, ship out the Warriors, and sure,
Wow.
all right, yeah.
Yeah.
I was very
That would be
surprised.
a very cool piece.
Yeah. I don't have one
Now,
printed at the moment.
do you have like the Warriors, and then on the back of it, do you have like three bottles? Like
No, no, it's basically just a replica of the image of the logo, and that looks like it's been spray painted on the wall, just like the actual image on the VHS cover. So,
wow,
but in red and black.
that's cool as hell. I can
Yeah,
see that being very popular.
yeah. I
Very
mean,
popular. And
my
you can
next.
can you do
What were you
any
saying?
movie? Can you do any movie, or is that a little bit time consuming?
I mean, I can always, like I said, I can always go back to the artist and see if he can get it. I don't know if it's something he can do or not. He has told me no on certain pieces. Whether it's a licensing issue on his end, I'm not sure.
Right.
So it all depends. But but it doesn't mean I won't ask. I mean, I actually had somebody, like I said, somebody reach out to me for one for the fog, and they were like, "Hey, I really want the fog." I was like, "All right, cool." So I just went back to him and he said, "Yeah, sure." Within like a day or two, he created it and sent it over to me, and that was it. And I did all the rest of the work on my end and just printed it out and sent it out to the buyer.
Yeah,
So
he must be pretty excited to help you do this. I mean, you guys it sounds like you guys make a really good team out in doing this.
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's worked out pretty well so far. I haven't met him, but it's pretty much find anybody, hire anybody on the internet these days. So, but
Right.
seemed pretty legit as far as credential wise. So I was like, all right, cool.
Is that the only part that you yourself can't do is the art itself, or
I
can
could. No, I could do it. I certainly could. I just, I don't, for me, the time to do it, I think, is just not there.
right?
I have to be very creative with the amount of time that I have. I also have a dog that I need to make sure is walked 3 times a day. So, who's, high priority in my life. And so I got to make sure he's always taken care of. So to sit down, sometimes he won't let me.
I know dogs take
You know how
dogs,
pets are.
dogs take up a lot of time, don't they?
They sure do. I'm surprised
They
he's not
do.
down here pushing the door open trying to get in. So,
Yeah. See, that's one of the
yeah,
cool things about having a cat is the cat will just be sitting there supervising your ass. Like, yeah,
I've had cat.
believe
I've
me,
had,
I'm speaking from experience here.
I,
My cat does
listen,
that too. He'll come by there and says, "Yeah, well, so what are you doing now?"
I've had cats. I've had cats, and I know the mischievous things they can get into. I
That's
had one
right.
cat that would go into the bathroom, and I had one of those little automatic soap dispensers, and he would just sit there and just put his hand and empty it. It would be empty within like an hour, and all the soap would be in the sink. And I'm like, thanks. So yeah, cats are wonderful little mischievous balls of fur. So, but
Yeah. Yes,
yeah,
mine's already made two tours already through the room tonight. So yeah, I'm very happy to see it. So, but wow, this has been great. So
so then show you one more. There's creep show for you.
yes,
So
that is gorgeous. That's
yeah,
gorgeous. So you can get them at the Etsy shop.
yep,
All of Doug's socials and also the websites are in the description box below. His Etsy link is on the top of the interview. There, you can go right up on there and click
appreciate
on
that.
that, or you can go down to the description. And I will also add Mike's
Please, yeah,
also add a link to Mike's store and also add your store to his interview as well, since you guys
great.
are working together.
Definitely,
I think honestly
yeah,
that's my favorite part.
yeah.
That's my favorite.
We've got to give Mike some love. Great guy,
Yeah,
great store. I hope he does really well, and I want more people to go in there and just relive their childhood, because that's what it is. I mean, it really is. Like when I first walked in there, I was like, man, it's like this is everything I remember from when I was a kid in horror movies, and it was an amazing experience. I
what
love
a
the store. I mean, yeah, it's so cool.
what a great place to go on there and find
Yeah,
some really unique items.
yeah.
Like you said, his store's absolutely stone cold beautiful. There's another person I'll introduce you to, or at least connect you to, and see what happens. That would
Sure,
be my friend
absolutely.
Christy. Christy
Yeah, like
Adams,
I said,
boys.
custom order is not a problem. You can shoot me a message, or email me, or however, through IG, or even through the Etsy store, or just email me through my website. Just let me know, and we can certainly figure it out. So
Yeah, because I just think I just think it's so cool. And
yeah,
I want to thank you for coming out and talking to us about it. And
yeah,
I was very, like I said, I was very excited to do this show tonight because I admire the talent it takes to do it. I know it's not as simple as just pushing a button. It's not that simple. If it was, we all
it
do it.
can
It's not. And
it can be, but I just have a tendency to take things to the next level and try to make it a little bit more impressive than some of the other ones that are out there.
well, it's
So
very impressive.
yeah, so I just for me it's fun, and I want it to look good, and I want people to really when they put it on their shelves, I want them to be like, yeah, this is really cool. So
I
that's
definitely
my goal.
I definitely think so too. I think it's a unique piece, and it'll highlight anybody's collection. And I hope that I'll be getting this out there more and more and telling people more and more. Hopefully, people will
Cool,
discover you, and like I said, business will increase. I think
great,
it's I think you have potential here to take this to the next level, like you said.
thank
Um,
you, I appreciate it.
all right, boys and girls, our time is here. I want to thank our guest Doug from RetroFusion3D. Um, an absolute joy to talk to you. So cool seeing some of your items and telling us how the process works. We also got to hype up another fellow businessman in Connecticut. There, Stanford. Is it Stanford?
It is Stanford, sure
Okay,
is. Yep.
Stanford, Connecticut. And I want to thank the people in the chat for coming out. Betty's hanging out with me all night, and I appreciate that. And EA
Thanks
Sports,
everybody.
not EA Sports, EA Whore is in the house. I know. See, I see it, EA Sports. I'm like, oh, EA Whore is in the house. Thank you for coming in, Erica. And also for Mike that's dropped in earlier, and who else dropped in earlier? And Lady Valerie was here. So I appreciate you guys all for coming in. And tomorrow night we will be back once again, as we'll be talking with actress and makeup artist Bunny Stewart will be our guest tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And then this Saturday at 3 p.m., we will be welcoming in novelist Jennifer P. I don't know where my speech is at. Jennifer P. Tuck will be with us on Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Um, Doug, stay right where you're at. And to the rest of your chat, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you. Without you, I wouldn't be here. And we will see each other tomorrow. Talk to you then.